So,
thank you all for being on this exciting webinar today. And we are very pleased to be hosting this webinar in association with TrackGensis. And a little bit about us. Interinstitutional Inclusive Innovation Center, which is i4C, is an independent non-profit entity which identifies students from India who have innovative ideas. We are a facilitator for students who have out-of-the-box ideas or innovative working prototypes. In line with our vision to encourage technology-driven breakthroughs that make life simpler, we have planned our hackathon-themed event, which is our webinar today. This encourages students across India to create and foster a culture of innovative thinking. We have been one of the lead organizing partners for Smart India Hackathon since its inception in 2016 until date. During this time, we have successfully hosted 5 SIH Software Edition hackathons and 3 Hardware Edition hackathons, 2 editions of Smart School Hackathon, 1 edition of an International School Hackathon, and multiple webinars dedicated to the startup journey and focusing on experiential learning for college students. Today, our webinar on blockchain is that such initiative we are taking to make sure that people at the student level, at the community level, understand what blockchain is and understand the good that blockchain can do. And who better than that than to make you understand a little bit more about blockchain than our speaker for today, Mr. Rajesh Plamthottathil, who is the founder and director of TrackGensis, a global software technology development and consulting firm. He has over 13 years of experience in the IT industry as a programmer, senior developer, and a software architect. As industry expert in blockchain, he has gained both developer and architect certification in Ethereum and Hyperleadger Fabrics. TrackGensis is a global software technology development and consulting firm headquartered in Aberdeen, United Kingdom, which aims to support businesses to grow by enabling them to transform digitally through cutting-edge technological solutions using blockchain, AI, and other modern software technologies. They are committed to delivering top-notch solutions to our clients through a strategy based on our core values of transparency, trust, and innovation. Rajesh, thank you so much for being here today. We leave this webinar over to you and in your smart, intelligent hands. Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Deegan. It's great to know about what you're doing. Yeah, I'll try to share my screen, and then again, I made a small presentation, but try to make it more interactive. Okay. Let me first share my screen. Sorry. I guess you can all see my screen, right?
No, sir.
Okay.
no, sir.
Oh, sorry.
Screen is
No,
not
no,
shared it.
We can see
you
it
see
now,
now?
sir.
All right. Okay. Yeah. My name is Rajesh, as he said, and we are running a company called TrackGensis. It's a software company based in Aberdeen, United Kingdom, and we mainly use blockchain technology to develop applications. And then today's session going to be trying to talk about sustainability in the food and beverage industry, and also a little bit about the fashion industry. Those are the areas we are currently working on. So I guess you all have some sort of understanding about blockchain technology. Some of you may be an expert, some of you have enough understanding. So I try to make it as simple as possible, and then we can have a more discussion and moving through. Okay. So first, what is blockchain? So blockchain is a decentralized, distributed, immutable ledger, consists of codes called blocks that are linked together using cryptography. Very boring sentences. I don't remember where did I copy that one from. But if you hear this kind of sentences, you probably sleep by the end of the session. So don't worry, I'll explain it in a little bit in a more simple form, and moving forward. Okay. So this is an image of a simple database. So the databases we are using for all these typical software applications. It's basically information of this one is a customer database, so a software application which holds the information of customers. So when you create a new customer, we add a new record of the customer. You'll have a name, last name, gender, whatever. And then each record has no link between that. I mean, like we can always like go back to the previous record and you can edit it and you can create a new record. You can delete any record. That's how like normal software, databases works. When it comes to the blockchain, it works in a different way. Rather than like going like one by one, like it creates, the records will be going into each blocks. So each block has a hash and a data and a previous hash. I'll explain that in detail. The data is very similar to like this. So, but that data will be then once you get the data into a block, it do some like hashing, like some algorithm works and create a hash. So it's an encoded form of it, and then the hash of like previous block will be added into the next block. And then the reason we are using the hash is once you create the block, and then the next, we won't be able to go back and change the previous block, because if you change any data, then the hash will be completely different. That's how the hash works. And then if the hash is different, then which means this link will be broken, because every block will have a previous block's hash. So if you make any changes to previous block, this previous hash will be invalid. So because of that reason, the blockchain, we can't go back and change this previous block. Basically, it says tamper-proof. Whereas in the normal database, it's not a problem. We can always go back and change that, and nobody will know. So that is the tamper-proof one. So when it comes to the blockchain network, there will be like multiple computers or multiple nodes holding the same blockchains. So we call it like distributed. So in a normal database system, we store this one in a centralized location, and one person will have, a company will have full authority of that centralized one. Whereas in this one, it's stored in different computers, like a peer-to-peer network, and every computer holds the same copy of this blockchain. So that makes it more difficult to tamper, and also it makes it distributed. So now we go back to the original one. Blockchain is a decentralized, because there's no central authority, like not one company is managing the whole thing. It's distributed. So you can see that the blockchain is actually distributed among the peers. And immutable ledger, because of this previous hash, the hashing mechanism, we can't go back and change data. That makes it immutable. Immutable means like you can't change it. Immutable ledger consists of records called blocks, because each record goes into a block, and that are linked together using cryptography. So each blocks are linked using this hashing cryptographic mechanism. So that's basically this this definition. Blockchain is a decentralized, distributed, immutable. I think like you understand a little bit, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
yeah, I mean, like we can make it like a more interactive. If you have any doubt at any point, just feel free to ask, okay? Because I don't know, like, maybe I'm like oversimplifying, or like or maybe not really covering the area. So any doubt, just ask.
I think Rajesh, you could carry on, and then any concerns are that you can put in the chat box.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not really sure whether I can see the chat box. I mean, if I don't see the chat box, please, like someone like just tell, okay?
Yeah, so Saurabh will monitor it.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So yeah, everyone knows about Bitcoin. Whenever talking about blockchain, the first thing comes into our mind is Bitcoin, and it's good and bad, because right now I'm talking about the sustainability. So when you're talking about the sustainability, Bitcoin has a negative reputation, because Bitcoin uses the mining algorithm to add every transaction, and the mining takes lots of electricity. So if you look at the electricity consumption, you can see that the Bitcoin uses more electricity than the whole Argentina country uses, because of the mining process. So this is always a problem as a company. Like when we are talking about consumers, when our clients, we say that, yeah, we can implement the blockchain technology to show the sustainability of your product. Then they say, look, the blockchain itself is not good for the sustainability. So this is the question you always hear. So I thought like I can put this in first and then explain how we overcome that. So this is a problem because the Bitcoin is a public blockchain. It has to use proof of work consensus algorithm, and that takes lots of electricity. But there are different types of blockchain technology networks: public blockchain, private blockchain, and consortium blockchain. The we can mainly talk about like private and public, and the consortium is actually a hybrid approach. So the public one, Bitcoin is an example of public blockchain because it's mainly used for the cryptocurrency transactions and all. And then the next one was the Ethereum. It's actually one step above. So it uses for cryptocurrency transaction, and also we can write business logic on top of that Ethereum network. We call it smart contracts. But again, Ethereum is going into the public network. We have to have some sort of consensus mechanism, make sure like it's not tampered. So it uses proof of work currently, and the proof of work needed mining algorithms. So again, like if you're building a software application or blockchain application on top of Ethereum, this electricity usage, the sustainability can be an issue. So what we use is we use private distributed ledger technology. It's enterprise level. So in our clients, mainly enterprise clients. So rather than going into a public blockchain, we create blockchain network internally, and then we host it there. So it doesn't really use proof of work consensus algorithm. It uses another consensus algorithm that requires normal electricity one. So we are not actually against the environment. So people ask me about this question, then I say this one. Look, we don't use mining algorithm. We use like different ones, and it's a private blockchain network, so it's not against the environment. So we are sustainable. So I thought I'd like to explain that first before we moving forward, because it contradicts with what we're talking about and the blockchain. Okay. I think it's clear. If you have any doubts, as I said, like just ask. Okay. So talking about the food hunting industries, some problems like I explain the problems, and then we can come to the solution, how we can solve the problem using the blockchain technology. The lack of product traceability is a big problem. I mean, like the we might think like, what's the point, like lack of traceability? How can this be a big problem? For example, like in UK, a few years ago, 6 people died because of a listeria outbreak. Listeria is sort of a bacteria that you can see in sandwiches and all. The reason people die is because it's not easy to find where this the salad come from, or the ingredients of the sandwich came from. By that time, people are like getting to hospitalized and died. But if we can trace it out very quickly, then we can actually stop it. We can like recall all these batches, and we can stop all these, the problems. So traceability can be a big problem, because the reason is like the food hunting, the supply chain network is huge. There are like different levels, and it's very difficult to trace back to the very origin. And that is the problem. And because the current technology, the main suppliers maybe only see like one level before, like they probably won't have like enough information about the farmer or to the very origin. So it's always a problem for the product traceability. And the transparency in labeling, that's another problem. I don't know, like normal case, we don't really care about the labeling, but sometimes like not we all are like the same people. Like some people have problems, allergic problems. Like some people have like nut allergy, some people have like different allergic problems. So they always like check the labeling and make sure like non-allergic ingredients is like included in that product. Again, like I'll tell you another story. It's not a story, it's a real thing happened in the UK. A few years ago, a girl called Natasha, she ate a sandwich from Pettamoji. It's a very reputed bakery, and she bought a sandwich and she ate it and got like sesame seed in it, but the label didn't actually say that it's got sesame seed, but she unfortunately died and became a big problem, and the new law came in the UK. So every product has to have like all this information like written in their lab. So we might think it's a silly one, but it's actually very important for like some people. So again, the transparency of labeling, it's very difficult, because if the product is small, you can't really write all the things in the label. Even though if you write it, like it's not easy to read it. And again, like when the supply chain is bigger, it's very difficult to get all this information. So that's another problem in the food hunting industry, the lack of transparency in labeling. And then food waste. Food wastage is another problem, because if you can't predict the demand of food, maybe like the food manufacturing companies are producing too much food. And again, if it is like frozen food, and like if the food has to kept in some temperature or certain conditions, and if you can't meet that, then it's again problem. And then if you can predict in the demand of the food, we can actually reduce this, the production of food, and we can save this food wastage. It's again another problem. And counterfeit food products. Yeah, the funny thing is, I don't know, you've heard about the Manuka honey. It's a special type of honey, and it's got like medicinal properties in it, and it comes from New Zealand. And the funny thing is, like 4 out of 5 Manuka honey available in the supermarkets are fake, because we don't have the capacity to make all this honey. But if you look at the market, like there may be lots and lots of Manuka honey available. So it's not easy for a normal person to figure out like which one is counterfeit, which one is the genuine one. So that's another one. And recently I read the news in a newspaper in UK. There's a supermarket called Tesco. They took their honey out from the shelves because they excuse me, they found that the sugar syrup were they altered with this sugar syrup. So it's basically like they did like it's counterfeit product. They put the sugar syrup in the honey and say it as a genuine honey. And they say they have the system to track it down to the very origin. But as a consumers, we don't have any system. We don't know. We have to trust what they say. The sustainability is another issue. Because right now, like it's globalization and everything's come, like we can buy food from anywhere in the world. I mean, if you go to the supermarket, you can find food from all over the world. But the thing we don't really consider is the food miles it travels, like, and then the environmental impact it makes. So we don't really think, because we don't have that information. Because sometimes we are buying the vegetables that can be coming from like the other part of the world. But as a consumer, we have no idea. There's no information available to see this type of things. So these are some problems currently we are facing in the food and drink industry. I'll tell you like how we can solve that later. So the next is fashion industry. Again, the same as the food and drink, fashion is another the big industry. It says that the fashion industry is one of the most polluting, unethical, and least sustainable industry on the planet. So basically, maybe you heard about that, like in India. So the cotton industry, they're polluting the river and all, like we're washing out this the clothing dye and all into the river, and lots of like problems happening there. Is yes, the water pollution, and then again like the child labor and a lot of unethical labor and problems. Yeah, one of the problems is unethical forced labor. Normally, the consumer only see the brand, and most of the brands they only have contact with their immediate suppliers. They probably don't really see what's happening in the very back. So it's very difficult to stop it, because we don't know. We don't know what's happening in that. So there's no transparency there. So the unethical forced labor is a big issue in the fashion industry. Again, sustainability. We don't know like how things are made in the back. In fashion industry, there's a saying called greenwashing. So they're saying something but doing completely different. For example, I recently heard from somewhere like a reputed brand. You can see in the label that 100% recycled material, and then actually just that label is 100% recycled. The cloth is not. So they can misinterpret like all these things, and then there's no transparency. We don't know like where the things are coming from. The sustainability is again like big problem, and counterfeit. The luxury, brands, like you can see like lots of like people are like faking this luxury brands and all, like, so counterfeit is also it's about like 450 billion the market value of the counterfeits. So it's again like a big problem, but actually it's not really a big problem for the consumer. It's more for the brand. But again, like if we are paying too much money for something, we expect good quality, but you're not getting that. So that's another problem. So blockchain use cases. Before I go to the blockchain use cases, I'll explain how the technology works in the current industry, especially the biggest supply chains. So right now, like the food fashion or the food and drink industry, the supply chain stakeholders, there are lots and lots of supply chain stakeholders, and each suppliers, the stakeholders have their own systems, their own ERP system, their own different technology systems, and it's not well integrated. So normally what happens is like when you supply a material, like you might be giving information, a paper, or maybe in electronics form, but it's not fully integrated. So each system is separated, completely separated. So the information transfer is not very efficient. When it comes to the blockchain, what we do is like we connect all these systems into a transparent network, and then what are the information we are interested, we put into that network, and then we write smart contracts to check all this information and then make sure everything is transparent and all the parties can see the information right away in real time. So that's how like the blockchain works. And also like in the traditional database system, maybe like two suppliers are competitors, so they probably won't want to integrate their system with their competitor. Whereas it comes to the blockchain, that problem is not there because we are not integrating with their existing system. We are creating a new network, and then we are extracting the data from their existing system into the blockchain. And once the data is there, it is immutable. So we can trust that the information is right. Whereas in the normal traditional system, they can give an information and after some time they can change the information. I think you all see like in ISO audits and all people, what they're doing, they create the documents just for the audit. And the real world, like the actual data may be completely different. I'm not saying like everyone is like that, but there is a possibility. Whereas if we implement the blockchain, that won't happen. Because once the information is there, then you won't be able to change it. And then some use cases, provenance. Provenance is the origin, like finding the origin of this problem. Oh, sorry, like origin of a supply chain. So IBM and Walmart, they had a project happen, like, and they used this project to trace the origin of mangoes. And then after this project, they managed to trace the origin of mangoes from 7 days to 2.2 seconds. Again, you think like, what's the point? You know, like mangoes are mangoes. Okay, once you eat it, that's it. But the thing is, imagine like something goes wrong in the mango and there is a food poison and someone eats and they got hospitalized. So we need to prevent the next person, and we need to prevent the next person not to eat that one. So how do we know like which batch mangoes got this problem? So it is very difficult to trace it back using the current technology. Says us like IBM says it takes 7 days. In 7 days, anything can happen. Like more and more people can go get hospitalized. But if we can find it in 2.2 seconds, we can easily stop that happening. So it's not just for knowing that, it's for like preventing catastrophes like this. And then another one like the listeria outbreak I already mentioned. Like if we can find that in advance, we can easily stop it before like something goes wrong. Again, the counterfeits like it's a big problem for the luxury brands because they lose their reputation and also like lose money. I mean, again, it won't really affect our health, but imagine like if it's a drug, a medicine, like you're buying a counterfeit medicine, it can really affect your health and it's scary. So again, like I'm not really covering the pharmaceutical in this use case, but again, like thinking about that counterfeits, not only like the luxury brands, again, like the food and drink sector, the Manuka honey, like you're buying the honey, assuming that is medicinal property, but if you're like buying just sugar syrup, that can actually impact your health. So that's another problem. Transparency. Again, transparency is a big problem in the fashion industry, as I already mentioned about the child labor, the greenwashing, and the ethical sourcing. And again, like the food and drink industry, we want to know like where the things are made. Transparency is a big problem. Carbon footprint. This is something like it's becoming like a big problem in the developed countries, and companies are actually trying to measure the carbon footprint and they're trying to reduce it to the very minimum. And net zero carbon is something like coming up, like try to reduce all this carbon emissions. And then mainly like it's focusing on the aviation and then for oil and gas and other industries, but in food and drink also like it's a big thing. For example, I can say like we buy fruits and vegetables from this shop, but we don't really think about where that comes from. So if it is coming from other part of the world, the world, like then it travels a lot through the ship or maybe cargos and all, and it the lots of it causes like the carbon emissions. So transportation can cause carbon footprint. Again, we are mainly focusing on the post-production carbon footprint one. The pre-production one is a big area. We are actually researching with the university now, like to measure the carbon footprint and reduce the carbon footprint in the food and drink industry. So that's again, like it can be a big problem. Another one like is water footage. This is something I never thought about it. Like I recently read in an article about tomatoes. Like if you can buy tomatoes from France, you can buy from Spain, you can buy from any other part of the world. And if you're like buying from France, it may be like grow in a greenhouse. So the water usage is very less. Whereas if it's like grown in Spain, it's a hot country and it takes lots and lots of water. So for a 1 kilo of tomato, I think like it's 50 liters to 500 liters. So there's a huge difference. I'm not really sure about the quantity, but something like that. So this is something we don't really think about it. Because we don't have the data. Because all you can see is tomato. That's it. Like when you go to the supermarket, yeah, you see 2 tomatoes. We don't really think about it coming from Spain, coming from France, coming from India, coming from Sri Lanka. We don't really care. But there is the environmental impact behind that things. So we need to think about that as well. And okay, so this is another thing, like how we can utilize the blockchain to show that to consumers. Like we can integrate videos, image, or certifications, and then show to the consumer that what's happening in the background. So the certification, for example, like in the fashion industry, if you are saying like we're using the sustainable method for like putting the dye on the cloth or like the process and all, we can copy the certificate and integrate that with the blockchain technology and can show to the consumer. When the consumer scan the product, they can see what's happening in the background. Again, we can add the image of a product, like if you want to show the provenance or the transparency, you can add the image in every stages and show to the consumer. And video, again, like if you wanted to show the process for how it's happening, you can integrate the image. So these are all possible with the blockchain technology. It's not really blockchain technology, but we can integrate all these things with the blockchain technology. Again, we can integrate our blockchain system with the ERP. So most of the companies already have ERP systems, so we can simply integrate a blockchain network, like a blockchain platform, using APIs with the ERP integration. In that case, they don't really want to add more information directly to the blockchain. It will get added automatically, but it has to be customized. Again, IoT integration, because some industries uses IoT devices a lot. And if you have that type of industry, we can always like integrate IoT device. Excuse me. I read I think it was one of the case studies I read. I'm not really sure it's a IBM. The case study says about like a ice cream manufacturing company. They have a contract with a milk supplier, and they have to get the milk in a container and they get delivered into their factory. And then the condition is the milk has to be kept in a certain temperature. And normally we write the contract and we have the IoT device, we have a temperature control in the truck, and then we assume that, okay, we check the temperature when they load it and we check the temperature when they unload it and check, okay, yeah, that's in certain level. And then we agree and we take it. That's how like normal things happens. But if you integrate with the blockchain technology and smart contracts, we can actually connect the temperature sensor to our smart contract. We can continuously check this temperature, and the smart contracts may be written in like saying that, okay, if this temperature is above or below the threshold, then change the status to the rejected. So if you write in that way, then if something goes wrong, if the temperature goes up or something, and then the status will automatically change and we won't be able to change it back. So in that way, we can make sure that we're getting the high quality product. Whereas in the normal case, as human, we can always like, think about the money involved in, we can say, oh yeah, that's fine, like won't be a big problem. But actually that affects the quality. So IoT integration, again, like it's possible. And then the mobile app integration, sometimes we use a mobile app to capture the geolocation and all, because not every, so for example, like we're working with the farms and fruits and vegetable local suppliers. And some of the farmers, they don't have the sophisticated system. So we can't really expect them having IoT devices connected to their farm. So in that case, we need to find another way. So what we do is we use mobile apps, and we use the mobile phone to scan something, and then that gets capture the geolocation, and using the geolocation we measure the distance it's traveled and lots of other things. So basically we can integrate anything with the blockchain using APIs and all. Okay, do you have any doubts so far, or can I go ahead and feel free to ask
hello?
any doubt. Yeah, sure.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Dheeraj Patil here. Sir,
Okay,
what
yeah.
type of hash function we use currently in time in cryptography for a blockchain?
Oh, it's SHA-256, I think. I don't remember on top of my head.
SHA-256.
Yeah. I mean, like what normally happens is like we use frameworks. We use we mainly work with the enterprise blockchain networks. So we use a Hyperledger Fabric, and then the Hyperledger Fabric framework already has all these things in it. So we don't really have to write these things. So we can use libraries in our, in the programs, and that will do everything for you. I mean, I think that's the one we are using. I'm not really 100%. I need to check it again. But yeah, again, you don't really need to write that thing. It's already there. All you do is like download the libraries and just use that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Anything else? Yeah, feel free to ask anything. Okay. I mean, like I didn't cover all these things. I only covered like things I thought like it may be, just came into the top of my head. There are lots and lots of like applications and problems like you can solve with this blockchain. Okay, I'll move to the next one. This tokens and NFT. You probably heard this a lot, like tokens, NFTs, and the digital assets and all the things. So it's mainly the token is a digital asset on a public blockchain. If you are talking about Ethereum, we call it standard called ERC20 for creating tokens. And this token is actually a cryptocurrency. People, the real term is token, but people use this for transacting and like as a cryptocurrency. So you can create your own cryptocurrency. All you need to do is like you need to follow the standards of ERC20 and create your own tokens, and then you can distribute the tokens between your funds. So whoever has this digital wallets, you can distribute them. Normally, people do the tokens for different purposes. We can use it for you can transact for loyalty points, and you can use it for ICO, initial coin offering. But I think the ICO is not approved in any country. I think in India it's not approved, but some other countries it's approved. So what we do is like ICO means, for example, if you are starting up a company and you wanted to raise some funding, and then you create it. You need to first write out everything in a white paper, and then give all this information about your project, and then you say, okay, I'm going to create some tokens, cryptocurrencies, and then I'm going to give you this cryptocurrency, and if you can invest some money, and then you raise the funding, and then you explain about like how your company is growing, and then you put this currency into the exchange at some point later, and then people can So when your company grows, obviously your cryptocurrency's value will go up. There's a lot of things outside of this. It's tokenomics. It's a big subject. I'm not really going too much into that, but we can use this token to raise funding. It's called ICO, initial coin offering funding. That's one use case of tokens, and you can again use this for royalty points, and you can do use for lots of other things. So in the Ethereum right now, it's not really economical to create tokens and transact through Ethereum because of the gas fees is going up and up again. You can see that it's very volatile. The value of the cryptocurrency, if you wanted to buy it, it's going up and down all the time. But again, like the same ERC20 standard, you can, once you write the smart contract, you can install it in any other smart blockchain network. You can put it on Binance, you can put it on Polygon with slight changes. They all like in Ethereum, you write smart contract in Solidity, and the same thing you can install in any other, most of these blockchain networks. The second thing is NFT, non-fungible token. So non-fungible token, it's very similar to ERC20 token, but the difference is ERC20 token is this generic one, but the NFT one is basically like you use it for assigning an ownership of a product to a person. This the difference is like if ERC20, if you're saying like ERC20 is like a currency, okay, if you have 10 rupees, you can give, if someone give you 5 rupees, you can give the 10 rupees, both have equal value. Whereas the NFT is like more like a flight ticket, okay? The flight ticket, you have your name written on the flight ticket. You can't really exchange with someone, and you can't really cut it into two and give it to two people because it's assigned to one person. So it's specific to that person. So the same thing in NFT. NFT has an owner, and we assign the digital asset to an owner. So we use NFT in different areas. I think you probably heard about the OpenSea, the NFT marketplace. You can upload your digital asset into the NFT marketplace, and then people can buy it using Ethereum, and you can try trade that and all. And again, we can use NFT for our own customized applications. We are talking to some whiskey companies here in Scotland. So they do some auctioning. So it's collectible whiskeys. Okay, it's very expensive. So what we do is like we create an NFT for that particular whiskey, and then we assign that to a person, and then we transfer. When they like sell that one, we can actually change this ownership to other person. And the other thing, very good application. It hasn't done that yet, but some prototyping is going on now. The property, the ownership of the property. Right now, like we have all this documentation, but we can actually do that through the NFTs. For example, if you have a property, and then when you are selling that property to someone, along with this documentation, we can create an NFT by the time we sell, and then change the ownership of the NFT to the new one. So, and because this NFT is stored in the public blockchain, nobody will be able to tamper it. Even though if you can like tamper the original document, but the NFT you won't be able to tamper. So it's another like ensuring you're the owner. So there are lots and lots of applications for NFTs, and then even like people like selling YouTube videos through NFTs, and games like written on NFT. So lots of applications. The other one is a digital certificate. You probably see that a lot already. Lots of universities started offering their certificate digitally, and then you can verify with the blockchain. And even so that's that. And also like we can in companies, if they wanted to give a certificate, they can create the certificate in blockchain and then assign the ownership to a person and verify with the blockchain, make sure like it's not tampered and all. So this another one. I think I just like put only this much. I thought like it to make it more interactive, just show some applications of blockchain, and then see like if you are interested in any specific area, we can start talking about, we can start doing discussion. So we still got like 15-20 minutes. So yeah, feel free to ask any if you have any doubt in any area, just ask. Or if you want to explain
I have
a
one
little more
question.
on some area. Yeah, sure.
How does how does tokens gets its value in cryptocurrency? On what basis?
Oh, that's that's a very interesting question, others. It's more tokenomics. Okay, it's not mainly the technology side of it. It's perceived value, to be honest. So what normally happens is like company creates the cryptocurrency, and that cryptocurrency is created based on a project. And for example, like in my company, I'm going to create like some cryptocurrency, and then I give that to some initial investors saying that, okay, this cryptocurrency, you give me like 10,000 rupees and I'll give you like 10,000 cryptocurrency. And then they assume that, okay, at some point this company will go up and then my cryptocurrency value will go up. And then they invest in first. Normally, like we give to your friends and family or early investors. And then at some point we put that into decentralized exchanges, clubbing with some other cryptocurrency, like Uniswap or different like other ones. So then what happens is like when our company is making progress and our project is becoming successful, people started buying our cryptocurrency. They assume that, okay, at some point this cryptocurrency will get more value. And when people started buying it, if it is on decentralized exchange, your currency, people putting more cryptocurrency, taking your currency out, the ratio changes. And when the ratio changes, your cryptocurrency will get more and more value. Initially, it was like 1-to-1, and then someone like put one cryptocurrency and take your one. So then the cryptocurrency or the Ethereum or whatever other currency go higher and your one lower. So which means like the ratio changes, your one get value. It's more like perceived value. I don't know really, how people creating this value. It's again like, some people just go with the flow. They assume that, okay, this is going to be a success at some point, but we don't know.
So we can change public and private currency also, means exchange.
Sorry, I didn't hear that question. Can you say it again, please?
So for tokens, can we exchange public and private also?
Yeah, I mean, like normally what we do is these tokens we write in a standard, and the standard ERC20. The ERC20 standard means like once you create the smart contract in the ERC20 standard, we can do all this transaction using the wallets, the online wallets. I don't know if you heard about MetaMask. MetaMask is an online wallet people use this for transacting Ethereum and Bitcoin or whatever. And then if you create a smart contract and using the ERC20 standard, and if you create a cryptocurrency, and then you can actually add that into your MetaMask wallet and you can transact easily with anyone, private and public. I mean, it's public actually. The currency is going to a public, not to private. I don't know if that answers your question.
Hi, sir.
Hi.
Hi, good evening, sir. Can you tell me the any real world example of food industry using blockchain technology, sir?
Definitely, because we are working with food and drink companies. We work with 3 different industries. One is a local producers. They produce the vegetables locally. So the reason we are working with them is because we wanted to encourage the consumer to buy from local. So the thing is, like right now, we don't know like where the thing's coming from. So what we do is like we work with the farmers, and we when they they make the produce, we use mobile apps to scan this the information, and then we capture the geolocation. And when it comes to the shop, we again capture the information, and we calculate the foot miles it travels. And when the consumers see the product, they can see the complete transparency, where that comes from, how many miles it travels, and when did that create, and all the information. So we did that, and we're working with a company. That's one thing. And the other one is we're working with gin manufacturers. I don't know, gin is an alcohol thing, and it's very popular in Scotland. And then again, like the people are more value the heritage of the gin. So in Scotland, the Scotch whiskies are very popular because the water in Scotland is pure, and then it's spring water. It's come from the mountains. So we wanted to make sure we are buying the genuine product from Scotland. So what we do is again, we do the same thing. We use the and then we capture the geolocations. We capture all the information. We show to the consumer is genuine one. So we are working with the gin manufacturer. We're working with the beer manufacturer. Beer is not like a mass-produced beer with craft beers. Craft beers is like a small batch ones. So we're making it with the some passion, and we wanted to share the story with the consumers. So again, mostly these applications we use, we show the foot miles it travels, the environmental impact, the sustainability, and the origin of the product. Yeah, we use that.
Okay, great, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Mehul. It's a good question. Anything else? Just feel free to ask anything. Okay, make it like a discussion.
Once again, sir, sorry to interrupt you. Once again, I have one query, sir. How do customer know from where it has come? How they use app or what, sir? Is there barcode on the product or something, sir?
That's a very good question. Mehul, don't call me sir. You can call me Rajesh. Okay. So that's a very good question, because how do we share the information? We thought about that first, like creating an app. The problem is, Mehul, you're going to a supermarket, you find a product, and if you want to know the information, do you download an app? I don't. I mean, normally, we don't download app if it is not necessary. So we didn't really go to the app booths. What we did is we create a unique QR code for each product. And the QR code you can scan using a normal camera. And the QR code can be translated into a web address. And it can show, I mean, the way we did is when someone scanned the QR code, it looks like an app, but it's actually a web page. Because the apps, it's okay, we can simply create an app, but nobody will download the app for, even though if you download it, you just delete it. And it's an unnecessary task. So we try to avoid everything. We try to make it as simple as possible, as quick as possible.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, no worries.
Any more questions? Guess we had a lot of good questions coming up.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Saurabh, I can't really see the chat. If
we don't have any questions in the chat box.
Okay, good.
Yeah. We have more of interactive audience.
Okay, cool. I mean, I purposefully try to reduce the slides rather than filling up the whole hour. I thought it's better to leave some time for discussion.
So I guess we have one more question from the same. Yeah, you can proceed.
Sir.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, sir. You told that we can't change the data, sir. Given data, sir, we can't change. So anybody can, sir, spread the false news also, sir.
That's a good question. It is possible. I mean, the data, the quality of the data going into the blockchain is also a big deal. We can stop. I mean, that's a problem, because if you're manually inputting data, you can do whatever you want. So, for example, you can say that you can make a whiskey in India, and you can say that it's made in Scotland. So how do we prevent that? So it's a problem. So what we do is we can do it in different ways. We can use the IoT devices, make sure like it capture the geolocation. But the thing is like not everyone have the IoT. So that's the reason we use the mobile app. So we create our own app and that integrate with the blockchain. And then when they use the app with the right credentials, when they scan it, they don't have an option to select the place. This app will capture the the longitude and latitude of that location and then accurately precisely find the location. So they won't be able to alter that location after that. I mean, it's always there, like we can tamper the data when the first time when it goes in. It's difficult, but what we do is that we speak to the customer. We first learn the process, and then we try to find the best way to avoid this type of the tampering data in the first place.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. Madam.
So actually, what I was thinking.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. You were saying something. Okay.
What I got from this blockchain management and all, that we are basically providing the barcode to the suppliers, special types of barcodes to the supplier, and when customer came to the supplier for buying any product, they can just scan the barcode and they get to know all about the product, the historical data and all. That is what we are doing.
First of all, it's not barcode, it's a QR code, because barcode has some limitations. QR code, you can actually convert anything into a QR code. It's just a way of accessing something. QR code and blockchain has nothing in common. I mean, so imagine like you have a blockchain, you have a system, the blockchain network, and the blockchain network has all the information about the product. So someone wants to access that information. How do they access the information? So you need to give a unique ID of that product. Then we can check the information of that particular unique ID and retrieve all the information, show it to the consumer. So what we do in the QR code is, the QR code is uniquely printed. So when you scan the QR code, basically what happens is it goes to an endpoint in our application with a unique identity. And once you get the unique identity in our backend, our system can talk to the blockchain and ask, give me the information of that unique ID. And the blockchain will go and find all the information related to that ID and retrieve into that our application. And our application will show to consumer in a nice way, saying that, okay, look, this one is made in this date, this is the the journey of that product. So the QR code is basically just a way to access the information. It has nothing to do with the blockchain.
Okay, sir.
I don't know, is that clear?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Okay, cool.
Okay, great. Do you have any more questions?
We got like about 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Feel free to ask. Looks like everyone is shy. Or you sleepy?
Any two more questions from girls? Like we have boys asking all the questions.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, myself Shana. So, sir, I just wanted to ask you one thing. So, recently, a lot of people, like one of the early investors of Facebook, Gary Vaynerchuk, and a lot of others were so much bullish about the Web3 project, NFTs, and all those things. On the other side, Elon Musk, Jack Dorsey were kind of against the Web3 project. So, my question to you is: are you bullish about this project, or why there is such a polarization between these two top leaders?
I actually don't know much about that side, because it may be like their share price, making their share price up and down, and all. These people like talk about a lot of things. Like you can see that like Elon Musk, when he put a tweet in the Twitter, the next day like the share price go up and down. And in the cryptocurrency market, if he says something about the cryptocurrency, even though it's shitcoin, the value goes up the next day. People are just following him and buying all these things based on whatever they are saying. I mean, for me, or like for our company, what we are doing is that we're basically using the technology side of this blockchain. We're not really working with the cryptocurrency side of it. We only use the good side of this blockchain, and we create the application that will be useful to the public. And yeah, there will be always like people hesitant, the early adopters. It's very difficult, the adoption. I mean, I found it personally a lot, because when you're approaching a customer saying that, look, we can implement the blockchain system that will give you this many benefits, but then what they are thinking is, okay, just try somebody else first, and then if that is successful, we will adopt it. So yeah, adoption is another problem. But to be honest, I don't know like what their intention is. Like the bigger people, we don't really know what their intention is. But they say something, maybe it's beneficial for them, like to make the value up. And also like when it comes to the Web3, it's more like decentralization, where maybe the bigger people don't really want the democratic way. They probably want to hold all this information by themselves. Don't want to give the control to the other. But I don't know, to be honest.
So thanks, sir.
You're welcome, Shan. I don't know, like I answered the question, but this is just my interpretation. I'm thinking this way. I don't know.
Sir, once again, sir. Hello.
Hello, hi, Murli.
Hi, sir. Except, sir, food industry and fashion industry, where blockchain is used on large scale, sir? This technology.
We can use in any industry. The reason I use the fashion and the food and drinks because this has more impact because everyone food and drink industry, we all like go to the food and drink, and the fashion is again like the thing. But actually, this is not a good place to start with if you wanted to make money, because the food and drink and the fashion, they're running on a very low margin. I mean, the fashion is different, but food and drink is running on a very low margin. So, for example, like if you wanted to buy a milk, 1 liter milk from 2 places, and you can't, the prices may be like almost the same. You won't like buy the milk for the double price or triple price. So the margin is very low in this food and drink, but the reason I chose the food and drink is because it's beneficial for most of the people. There are other industries, pharmaceutical, definitely, because, like the vaccines and everything, we don't know like we are getting the right one or not. Like the transparency is very important, and the drugs we are buying, you need to make sure it's genuine, it's not counterfeit. And then architecture, again, like we need to make sure like all this materials is sustainably sourced and other things. And then again, like the counterfeit of this, the ownership of your property and all, like that's another area. And then oil and gas industry, and then basically maybe more than like for example, like a project is run by 4 or 5 people together, and in that case, the blockchain can be really useful. So for example, Mehul, I, and then the Shana, like we all like working for a project, okay, and we wanted to share information between us to do the project much faster. So right now, what happens is we all have systems. We maybe like call each other and saying, the Mehul maybe calling me and then ask like, hey, Rajesh, what's the status of the project? And then I say, yeah, this is the status of the project. And then he calls Shana and say, ask for her update. And right now it's happening like that. But our systems are not integrated. Imagine our systems are integrated. It's real time. So we all see the information in real time, and then we can plan ahead. We can do the project without much waste, and we all like it's a win-win situation. But the problem is right now these systems are made in different technologies, and we don't want to integrate our system with the others because maybe Mehul and Shana are competitors. So you don't want your system. Now I want your system to be integrated, and the other person wants to see your information. So in that case, what we do is we create a blockchain network between us. And then we decide, first of all, what are the information we wanted to share between. And you say, okay, yeah, these are the information we wanted to see. And then we write smart contracts. We say like, okay, so you're going to like do this project and you are supplying these materials, and then the materials has to be in this standard. We write everything in smart contracts. And once you do that, if that all working fine, and that goes to the blockchain network information, and straight away I can see that, Shana can see that. And then I can easily plan it ahead, like because I know that like you got that materials ready. So again, like if I put something, then you can see it straightforward. So any project like multiple people are involved in, blockchain is a good solution. And the other problem is people maybe again ask like we can use the normal technology, but what the power is another problem. Imagine like we are working for a bigger company, and the bigger company always want the power, and they don't want like you to access their system. They want to access your system, this power handle. But if it is a blockchain, it's more democratic. Nobody is actually holding the power. So lots and lots of applications based on like the industry. Anywhere we can apply that. And the reason I chose food and drink and the fashion, because it's easy to understand by everyone.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Mehul, for asking quite a good questions. You're making that interactive. Yes.
But yeah,
that was.
I mean, that's why I said like we need to. Yeah, we need to make it like more interactive. Yeah. Otherwise, like, what's the point? I don't like the way of like giving a lecture. That's very boring.
And that's a relative question to the webinar series. Like we are doing this on the blockchain use cases. So we'll learn a lot of more of the use cases of the blockchain. Yeah, we have a question from Omkar, right?
Hello, sir. Actually, you said that means by blockchain we can track things faster. Means 7 days comes to 2.7 seconds. So why we are not using it in warehousing in big e-commerces? Because their major problem is they cannot track their means what we can say means objects in warehouse very efficiently. So why we are not using in warehouse?
Again, Omkar, the problem is the adaptation. Like, normally, if the warehouse, if it is only one company handling all this information, the normal system is more than enough. You can get all this information straight away because we got all the information in that system. But there are multiple parties involved in it, then it's a problem because we don't really get the information straight away. The 7 days and 2.2 seconds is that data, the statistics I got it from IBM website, IBM and Walmart, where they're doing a project. The reason is 7 days because it's they have to go physically go and ask the people, like the suppliers, where that thing's coming from. It takes some time. That's the reason it takes 7 days. The problem with the why can't we use it, because of the people's mindset. Because first of all, people don't know much about the blockchain. That's the reason I talk about like Bitcoin in the first place, because when you're talking about the blockchain, they think, oh, blockchain is cryptocurrency, that's banned in India, like that's against the environment, it's not sustainable. And the decision makers, because I see this a lot, trust me, when you're going to speak to someone in a company and say that, look, you can implement the blockchain technology, that's very beneficial for your business. Maybe they don't know much of the blockchain, but they don't want to show that they don't know that, like, because you are the top head of, IT department and you don't know much about the blockchain. But when I'm talking to that, you don't admit that you don't know, then what do you say? Oh, no, we don't want this one. No, that's not what we wanted. If people don't know much about the technology, they simply resist it. So that's one thing. First, we need to educate the people what's the benefit of blockchain. And again, like we need to differentiate the blockchain, the application of cryptocurrency, and the other application of business application. So once the people understand the good side of the blockchain, the benefit of the blockchain, they will think about it. Yeah, why can't we implement it in our system? It takes some time. Again, like any technology thing, like there are different levels of people. Like the early adopters are there, and then like some people are waiting for somebody else to try it first because they don't want to be a guinea pig. So again, that's another problem. Actually, in my case, like I spoke to a lot of companies. Some companies say the same thing. They say, "Yeah, we like your idea. It's a great, it's perfect for our business case and all. But let's see, like somebody else try that first, and then once that's successful, we'll implement that." But I think education is important. We need to educate them the importance of the blockchain and how that works, the return of investment and the value proposition to get. Because normally, the technology people, they talk about the technology. But the business people, they don't really care about the technology. They only care about the value proposition. If they wanted to spend $1, they wanted to get $2 back. That's all they care about. So if you can say that, yeah, if you implement the system, you can save this much money, then they say, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, education is important.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Of course, like as we go ahead, we will look to get some good side of the technology being used in sustainability. And a lot of the more use cases will come, I guess, from the students also. They might come up with good solutions from the blockchain. Like I would like to, so we have come at the end of the webinar series. I hope like everyone enjoyed this session and learned a lot of things from the Rajesh sir. Thank you, participants, and I would like to express my gratitude to i4C, to Rajesh sir, for giving us such a wonderful and insightful session about the blockchain use case in the fashion and food industry. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Saurabh. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it's all like very interactive. Yeah, I mean, feel free to contact me in LinkedIn or follow the TrackGensis. So, and then yeah, if you have any doubts in the future, yeah, feel free to ask. Okay, thanks very much, Saurabh and i4C, like for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Coming up here and giving the session.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Stay connected for more webinars. We are coming up with more use cases of the blockchain. Yeah, we will have Rajesh sir once again.
Yeah, call me, no problem at all.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.